Shark Media.
Since Angelo Roncalli's installation as Pope John XXIII in 1958, papal succession has followed a distinct alternating pattern: disruptive pontiffs, followed by caretaking successors. Pope John XXIII declared his disruptive intentions within 3 months of his election, announcing the Second Vatican Council on January 25, 1959. Pope Paul VI then assumed the caretaker role for John XXIII's mandate following his 1963 election. This is white smoke. Pope John Paul I displayed signs of potential disruption, but died merely 1 month after his 1978 election. Pope John Paul II embraced the disruptor role, pursuing a papacy focused on restoring orthodoxy rather than advancing Vatican II reforms. Pope Benedict XVI was elected in 2005 to continue guiding the Church in that conservative direction. Following Benedict's retirement, Pope Francis was elected in 2013 and aptly described by Michael Higgins as the Jesuit disruptor. While every disruptor performed some caretaking functions and every caretaker created certain disruptions, this pattern provides a useful framework for understanding recent papal history and anticipating the immediate future. Though premature for certainty, early indications suggest Pope Leo XIV will serve as caretaker for his predecessor's disruptions, while potentially initiating some of his own. The 1958 cardinals likely believed they were electing a caretaker, but instead chose one of church history's greatest disruptors. Pope John XXIII called the 1962-65 Second Vatican Council because he recognized the Church's relationship with modernity and the modern world required transformation. The Church could no longer maintain defensive isolation while expecting Catholics to live separately within a medieval institution. Vatican II's paradigm shift measured the disruption's degree, defining the Church as the people of God rather than simply the clergy. Despite his disruptions, Pope John XXIII remained a doctrinal caretaker, reinforcing church teaching on divorce while launching a birth control commission. After John XXIII's death in 1963, Cardinal Giovanni Montini was elected Pope. Montini, somewhat of a church superstar as Pope Pius XII's close advisor and Milan's archbishop, chose the name Paul VI and was elected to shepherd Vatican II, which defined his papacy. However, he challenged that caretaking role through his most disruptive act, rejecting his own commission on birth control's recommendations and maintaining the Church's traditional prohibition. Paul VI's death triggered the modern Church's most peculiar sequence. The first 1978 conclave selected Albino Luciani, Cardinal of Venice, Italy, who chose the name John Paul I to honor both previous popes and signal that Vatican II's work would continue. While John Paul I appeared destined for caretaking, he quickly demonstrated disruptive tendencies. He avoided many papal trappings through gestures perhaps not lost on Jorge Bergoglio in Argentina. Having shown commitment to Venice's poor, he maintained that focus as pontiff. Following John Paul I's death after just 1 month, the second 1978 conclave chose another charismatic figure who immediately became a disruptor, a pope determined to reverse Vatican II's clock. As John Paul II, Karol Wojtyla almost immediately declared war on liberation theology, instructed American clerics to leave political office if they held it, and ushered in an era of re-established church traditions and dogma. Vatican II seemed not merely constrained but under attack, especially through John Paul's enforcer, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger. Yet John Paul II also adopted bold caretaker positions, maintaining the Church's antagonistic capitalism stance, virtually banning capital punishment, and categorically refusing to reinstall the Tridentine Mass as the Church's official liturgy. Still, John Paul II's explicit rejection of modernity and its moral relativism made his papacy profoundly disruptive. When cardinals selected Ratzinger as successor, Vatican II reforms would clearly continue being downplayed. As Benedict XVI, Ratzinger restored papal royal trappings, including ermine and ceremonial red shoes. The world braced for an even more virulent return to the past, but it never materialized. As quickly as Wojtyla asserted his authoritative traditionalist return, Ratzinger abandoned his enforcer persona and became a caretaker pope. He viewed his role as the Church's chief theologian against moral relativism, but stopped seeking it under every pew and in every seminary. Catholic right dreams went largely unfulfilled with Benedict, who at most created greater Tridentine mass tolerance. As a caretaker pope, however, Benedict performed the most disruptive papal act in nearly 600 years. He resigned. Jorge Bergoglio announced his disruptor status the moment he stepped onto the loggia, wearing simple white rather than traditional papal vestments, then asked people to pray over him. The change transcended ceremony, with Francis eschewing Vatican apartments, describing the Church as a field hospital for the wounded, and asking, "Who am I to judge?" Francis represented a radical departure from Benedict, and exactly the fresh air Pope John XXIII wanted to let into the Church. A Jesuit, Francis nonetheless exuded Franciscan charism and asked the world to follow suit through his encyclical Laudato Si on care for our common home. Progressive Catholics, however, found Francis frustratingly stuck in caretaker mode regarding church teaching on homosexuality, women's ordination, and celibacy. Rather than issuing authoritarian rulings, Francis handed those issues to the synodal process he created for considering such questions. What can we expect from Father Bob Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV? Elected to continue Francis's legacy, Leo quickly asserted his independence, choosing a name unlinked to Francis, returning to papal vestments, and eschewing some humble trappings Francis favoured. In his first Sunday address as Pope, the cardinal who had condemned Putin's Ukraine invasion as imperialist now delivered less direct assertions. "I carry in my heart the suffering of the beloved Ukrainian people." For his first papal trip, Francis chose the Italian island of Lampedusa to spotlight migrant struggles. Where will Leo travel? The pattern suggests we await Leo's defining moment. Will he prove primarily a Francis caretaker or reveal his own disruptive agenda? Recent papal history indicates both roles remain possible and perhaps inevitable. In America magazine, Villanova graduate Jack Doolin writes, "On the day of Pope Leo's election, church bells rang out in many places across the world in celebration of our new Holy Father. At Villanova, we played the alma mater with pride for hours and hours. As students, faculty and staff finished exams, we flocked to the steps of the church to take in the moment and process the news. We exchanged hugs and congratulations, marveling at the cloudless sky and the warm sun that seemed to be celebrating with us. Without knowing quite what it meant yet, we stood in shock and gratitude at what was happening. The Pope is a Villanovan." An overwhelming sense of joy and excitement blanketed the campus, and soon details began to emerge. The fact that Robert Prevost was a math major, photos from his yearbook, and then a steady stream of stories from the Augustinian friars who had journeyed with him throughout his life. It was surreal and felt like a sort of revival. Hearing that the Pope is not only American, but attended your college brings a bizarre sense of closeness to what is otherwise a distant office. The Vatican is physically far away, and I typically think of the Pope as more of a celebrity than a pastor. At Villanova, students experience the hospitality of the Augustinians woven throughout their lives through a deep sense of community. Our shared values of veritas, unitas and caritas, faith, unity and love, provide a common language to frame our journey together. This is why Villanovans are some of the proudest alumni in the country, and why we take deep pride in Villanovans igniting change all over the world. For us, the news of Pope Leo's election is not just a spiritual event, but a cultural one. Beyond the memes flooding Instagram and the large print of Pope Leo already posted in our college bar, the news has sparked a new sense of closeness to the Vatican for all of us. Catholic or not, Seeing a leader who shares your values on the global stage brings a revived sense of curiosity and hope for what might come next. At the same time, there is something unsettling about such proximity. It feels a little weird to hear about the Pope emailing with the presider at your Mass, or the priest who taught you theology. It is not that the Church feels smaller, but instead that we feel connected to it in a new way. With this tie to the Holy Father, the global Church feels closer and more real to those of us on the Villanova campus. Here is a man who experienced the love we did at Villanova, and in his first address to the Church, urged the world to build bridges through dialogue and encounter, joining together as one people, always at peace, in pursuit of a church ever open to welcoming, like this square with its open arms. To us Wildcats, those words are spoken like a true Villanovan, overflowing with Augustinian hospitality. Sister Joan Chittister, a Benedictine nun, wrote that hospitality is the first step toward dismantling the barriers of the world. It is the way we turn a prejudiced world around, one heart at a time. With the sheer number and size of the barriers in our world today, is there anything more we could want from the Holy Father? So yes, Villanovans did just get way more annoying, but we are bursting with hope and with pride. What else are we supposed to do?
There's always something brewing behind palace walls, whether it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle making headlines from afar, or Prince William and Princess Catherine quietly preparing for the future throne. I'm Mark Francis, and on Palace Intrigue, we cover every twist, turn, whisper and wink. From royal drama to daily gossip, follow Palace Intrigue wherever you get your podcasts.
When the world's most powerful people go to war, we can't look away. Welcome to Feuds, Power, Pride, and Payback, the podcast tracking the explosive conflicts shaping our world right now. Presidential administrations fracturing, tech billionaires threatening government leaders, entertainment titans destroying partnerships with single social media posts. These aren't just headlines, they're windows into how power really works. We deliver daily episodes when news explodes, weekly deep dives for perspective. From Washington power struggles to Silicon Valley vendettas, we decode the psychology behind the drama and reveal why these feuds matter far beyond entertainment. Feuds, Power, Pride, and Payback. Today's conflicts are tomorrow's history. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Want this podcast without commercial interruptions or feed drops? Calaroga Plus is just $5 a month, and you'll get this show ad-free. Plus, we've just added the full first seasons of Eastwood Reloaded and Crown and Controversy, so you can binge listen our new series without a single interruption. Calaroga Plus gives you Palace Intrigue, 5 good news stories, daily comedy news, 5 daily trivia questions, and all the other shows on the Calaroga Shark Media Network, totally ad-free. For just $5 a month, it's the best deal going. Apple Podcast users can even get a 30-day free trial by clicking the banner that says uninterrupted listening. If you're on any other app, head to calaroga.com/plus. Link in the show notes. Don't wait. Get your uninterrupted content now. Apple Podcast users click that banner that says uninterrupted listening. If you're on any other app, head to calaroga.com/plus. Link in the show notes.